Okay, hello everyone. This is Austin, your host and the creator of Beam Saber. You can find me on Twitter at NotAnIn. My pronouns are he, him. And if you would like to support Beam Saber's development financially, you can do so at patreon.com/AUSTINRAMSAY and pass along a couple dollars to me. As always, this stream is presented by You Don't Meet an Actual Play podcast about exploring obscure tabletop role-playing games with a diverse rotating cast. Just this past Sunday, we put out an episode of Christine and I playing Starcrossed, and it was great. It's a good game. You should go play it. But that is not why we are here today. Today, we are doing some Beam Saber game design. So, I got some feedback from this past weekend. I went to ProtoTO, which is a primarily board game prototyping and playtesting convention. There were a couple other RPGs there. I played two of them. I played Praxis Arcanum, which was fun. It was like a heavily invested in world building RPG that used a pretty interesting card mechanic. And I played Old New World, which was heavily inspired by Fallout, but with more magic. And that was also fun. It was way different. It was far crunchier. Both of those games show a lot of promise. I don't think you'll see Old New World anytime soon. That's the creator, Al Mock. He was just doing it for fun, with no real plans of publishing, since he's literally using the special system that you'd find in Fallout. So good luck getting that published. I think Bethesda would object. But anyways, I went to ProtoTO, played games, had fun, ran Beam Saber for a bunch of people I'd never met before that weekend, and I got some feedback. So that's what we are looking at today. ProtoTO feedback. Okay. So, first feedback I got was address more motivation for spreading out, cut loose, downtime activities due to beliefs XP reward. So one of the players in the group was concerned that people primarily interested in min-maxing would try and game Beam Saber by just always cutting loose with the same person over and over again, so that they would get XP as fast as possible and just completely ignore their other relationships. So that's something to put some thought towards. I feel like it's probably not a problem, but also that's feedback, so that's something I should take into consideration. Just like I said, put some thought towards it. Another one was more differentiation between vehicle actions and pilot actions. Mostly seems to be a difference of scale. So that was the concern, that the vehicle actions in Beam Saber are basically copies of pilot actions. and that they need to be more different beyond just, instead of firing a small machine gun, you fire a much larger one, which is a good piece of advice. I should work on differentiating the play between in and out of vehicle a bit more, probably. Next up was someone suggested that maybe have vehicle bonds beliefs. Bonds beliefs between a pilot and their vehicle. Perhaps, what was it? Perhaps tied to additional, hey Sasha, additional benefits for pushing yourself in the vehicle. Perhaps get additional beliefs when you repair during downtime. So that was a piece of feedback that I got. A couple of the players wanted a stronger emphasis on the connection between a pilot and their vehicle. That the vehicle seemed a little they didn't say bland or flavorless, but I kind of feel like that was the mindset, maybe not the right word. The mood. So that's something to put some thought towards. Add more advice for tying missions together. That was a piece of advice. They horse girl energy. Sasha says, "Oh yes, Beam Saber could benefit from some horse girl energy." I am deeply confused. So it was pointed out after the single mission we did that people felt that the game would probably direct itself towards like very episodic nature with the missions. So the group that I was playing with, there was 4 players. 2 of them were familiar with Forged in the Dark. One of them was a member of the Beam Saber Discord community. I can't remember if he was running or playing in a Scum and Villainy game. And then the other person who's familiar with Forged in the Dark had just read Blades in the Dark. And then one person, hey Carter. One person came from I got the impression that he came from a fairly mechanics, tactical heavy background in terms of RPGs. And so he was the one who said that it was hard to picture the missions tying together in the current format. And so the people who were familiar with Forged in the Dark were familiar with this sort of built-in gameplay loop of doing missions pisses people off, so you come into conflict with them, and then you try and fix things with them, which pisses someone else off, so then you come into conflict with them, and you end up building a storyline through that. But I think that perhaps putting in some more information into the rules about tying missions together with a longer story arc would be good. I don't recall whether or not I already have that, but that is something I should put some thought towards. So Sasha says regarding horse girl energy. Yeah, you know, the young adult thing where the girl goes to the farm and the horse is too wild to ride, except that it makes a bond with the girl and everyone learns a little more about themselves. Like points of intimacy between the pilot and their mech, like asking what the cockpit looks like, etc., etc. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Be the mech whisperer. Something like that. Okay. So yeah, that's so some more information about tying missions together. Let's see, what else was there? Oh, right, okay. Check all mechanics, i.e. trauma, for how they feed back into vehicles. How did I put a 0 in there? Sasha says, not quite a divine / candidate thing because I know you don't want it that super powered, but something in the same vein. Yeah. The thing I want to be very careful of with implementing something like vehicle bonds is that I am concerned about stepping on the Ace's toes. Since the Ace already has Traveling Companion as an ability, which lets them spend stress in place of fuel. But there's lots of things I can do. Anyways, this piece of advice, check all mechanics for how they feed back into vehicles. This was about basically just what it says on the tin. Look over every mechanic and see if it can be more strongly tied and more directly interact with vehicles and everything to do with them. Like the example that one of the playtesters gave was a trauma of claustrophobia, which would make it harder to get into a cockpit, or more relevant to getting into a cockpit, which I think is a good suggestion. Tying the traumas to the relationship the pilots have with their vehicles could be very good, or at least a couple of them anyways. And making, I mean, they could be read into that if you were so inclined at times, but perhaps making it more explicit would be a good idea. Next up was, can I remove more of blades? Which is a piece of feedback I have been thinking about over the last while, looking like, part of me is, hey, UPHC, looking at what I have and trying to figure out if Beam Saber is different enough in its core mechanics to warrant actually like getting published, or trying to like, do I need to make it more different? Can I make it more different? Or is all of that just imposter syndrome speaking to me? So trying to balance out imposter syndrome with legitimate concerns about my work. So since I got that as a piece of feedback, it's probably something I should actually look at and isn't just imposter syndrome, which I normally just push through with the confidence of a mediocre white guy. Oh, I'm glad to hear that it feels more different than Scum and Villainy. That is heartening. Okay. Let's see. Oh, enjoy your class, Carter. So another piece of advice was look over frequency of which abilities are chosen. That is something I would really like to have data for. I have, not the best idea of how I'm going to pick that up. And it also certainly applies to playbooks as well, because like I know that there are, I think, 3 classes out of the most selected. There's like the ace, the technician, and the officer. Those are all pretty frequently chosen. Was it the officer? Maybe not. Maybe and then there's like second most chosen is like scout, infiltrator, soldier, and then like the 2 that are very rarely chosen are like bureaucrat and hacker. And hacker, I know it's probably in no small part because the class is not fully functional at this time, because especially before version 0.28, which just went out yesterday, there was no rules for making apps. Now there is. So hopefully people will be more inclined to picking hacker again, or at all. So hopefully that helps. But and then even before that, people weren't picking hacker in earlier versions because hackers didn't get vehicles. They just got a computer. So that disincentivized a lot of people. So yeah, hopefully that'll pick that up. Bureaucrat, though, I have no idea. You know what? I'm going to put a special note here. See if I can spice up bureaucrat, which, boy howdy, does that ever sound like a challenge. I mean, I kind of feel like if you choose bureaucrat, you kind of know what you're getting into, and I don't know if I can make that traditionally exciting. I think if you're interested in that style of character, you're going to like the class as is. But if your first choice is the ace, I don't think I'll ever be able to convince you to go with the bureaucrat instead. It's a very niche playbook. All right. What was... Oh, yes. Last piece of advice. Should mechs have a shorter lifespan? This one was about, exactly what it says. Should vehicles, I should change that to vehicles. Should vehicles be more fragile in some way so that they have to get replaced more often? And it was specifically referenced like mid-season vehicle upgrade. It's like, I guess in Zeta going from the Mark II to the Zeta, and in Double Zeta going from the Zeta to the Double Zeta. I don't know. I am not 100% sure how I feel about that one. Right now, vehicles are as tough as their pilots. And the easiest way of making them force into retirement faster would be to reduce the number of character traits that they could have, with like the obsolete, the clumsy and stuff, which would certainly do the trick. Should put that in the notes. Reduce number of characters before retirement. Because I don't want to get rid of, like, well, I could another possibility would be remove second, level 1 and or level 2 damage boxes. So you'd be dipping into level 3 damage more frequently. Would this remove vehicles from action too often and make it so pilots can't use their vehicles when they want? That was actually so when I ran Beam Saber, I cut out basically everything that had to do with long-term play. Cut out factions, cut out squads, cut out trust, cut out rivals and allies, patron factions, faction goals. Just absolutely gutted the game, just so that we could go with the core mechanics. At the end of the session, we did do reward and entanglements and XP, so I could show off those. And one of the actually, it's interesting that this point came up. This is one of the things why you got to like take feedback with a grain of salt, right, and really actually think about it critically. It's because I got the advice that should vehicles have a shorter lifespan, and at the same time I also got the feedback of it seems pretty challenging to repair, to keep your vehicles in tip-top shape because of the materiel costs and the needing to spend downtime activities on it, and also often those require rolls as well. But if the vehicles became more fragile, then there'd be more time where you didn't have your vehicle, access to your vehicle. Especially if you got destroyed, and then you'd have to spend a whole lot of materiel to get a new one, or do a whole mission or long-term project about getting a new one, either of which would require you spend a fair chunk of time without a vehicle. So those, I don't know, might be that vehicles are okay in terms of their durability. But maybe I will get some survey feedback about that. It's the vehicles. Excuse me, just yawned. If the vehicles are durable enough or too durable. Find out from people who have played more of the game. Okay, so address more motivation for spreading out cut loose downtime activities due to beliefs, XP, rewards. Alright, so this one was about people trying to game the system by cutting loose with the same person over and over again every downtime, so that theoretically they could both get XP every 4 missions. One. 1 XP every 4 missions for 2 people. You know. Oh, okay, so. Of course, there's the possibility that they could cut loose and then not spend enough stress, and then cut loose again with the same person, speeding up the process, especially if they had the officer's functioning vice, which would let them reduce their I don't think this is a problem. You know that? Because one, if they really feel the need to try and game Beam Saber for XP by cutting loose with the same person over and over again, then I think I can let them have their fun. But on top of that, if they're doing that over and over again, that's costing them resources. It's either costing them, it is costing them downtime activities, and if they're doing it more than twice in a downtime, it's also costing them cash. Unless, again, they're an officer and they're just trying to get as much XP as possible. And of course, if they're doing that, there's a good chance that they're also overindulging, which causes potentially entanglements, resetting their progress, or costing the whole group trust. So, probably not actually a problem. Sasha says, the more you cut loose with someone, the more expensive it is to help them also. Yeah, there's that too. I did explain that people tended to spread around their cutting loose because of that, but this was still a concern raised, so I should address it. Requires spending downtime activities, cash, and possibly other resources via overindulging. All of which means other problems are not being addressed. 3 stress is a great deal to spend in one go, much less more than once in a mission. Yeah. Yep. That's a lot of stress to spend for an assist, even if it is getting you improved position, effect, and a die. Okay. I think this is dealt with. I think we can put a fork in this. This is done. All right. No longer relevant. Okay, so we'll just grab that, stick it in the time capsule, I guess we could call this. Okay. What do we want to tackle next? Let's see. More differentiation between vehicle actions, pilot actions. Vehicle bonds, beliefs. Okay. This one is going to take a lot of work, but because that'll require me to get into the guts of the rules, like the very core mechanics, and put some hard thought towards them. Some of the suggestions was to cut stuff out of what pilots can do, so that only like violence can only be done while you're in a vehicle was an example given.
Favorite thing is when pilots punch each other.
And I don't think I'm going to do that because there's a lot of traditional mech work where the very dramatic stuff is when two pilots have their vehicles destroyed and then they're just punching each other. And then of course there's Kiriko Kuvi in Armored Troopers Votoms, who is just going around punching and shooting people all over the place. Only half the time is he doing that in an AT. But there's other things I can probably do here. But I don't want to focus on that right now because, as I said, that would require me to really get into the guts of the game. Okay. Let's look at the vehicle bonds belief stuff. So, I think that there is some potential for some very good stuff, good work here. So, the problem I see is how to fit that on the character sheet. One possibility, let's see, where are character sheets? Let's bring those up. No, give me it in its own window. Is that, you gonna do what I want you to do, Google Docs? Yes, no, yes, no. Why are you taking so long to load? Okay. All right. So, where, this is very, okay. So the question, is this, holy smokes. All right, interesting. So that is not a thing that works. Good to know. Okay. You sure did try Google Docs. Okay. Right. So where would the beliefs go? I guess it could go in this corner here where the pilot logos currently are. There's enough room for some small lines. So it could go there. Problem with that would be that I'd have to get rid of these lovely logo plates that Christine made. Of course, another option would be to put it on the pilot connections sheet. Put one in for vehicle. So, how might that work? Let's see. Currently, let's see. Pushing yourself currently is with a vehicle, 2 fuel for 1 benefit, not counting reavers. Oh man, this would mess with the reavers ability too, wouldn't it? Okay, so I should put that in the notes. Where's the... Okay. There we go. Consider how this interacts with Reavers from MechaCav. Okay. Let's see. So, could improved vehicle bond increases benefit of pushing your vehicle. Let's see, it could reduce stress cost or reduce fuel cost of resisting consequences. Could reduce fuel cost of pushing your vehicle. What else do vehicles do? Okay, that's one. Good. Increase load. Could improve refueling. Could improve repairs. Could improve upgrades. All right. Oh. Maybe that's one. That's actually interesting. Could unlock potentially the 4th dot in vehicle skills. So I haven't been completely happy with how that works with your vehicles. And just basically I haven't been happy with how the upgrade action works. So few people bother with it during downtime. Usually they just go with training instead, since upgrade has a materiel cost. I mean, I could, just... excuse me, another yawn. Could do it with the materiel cost. So I was thinking of making up, but I think that that's an important part of the genre, is coming up against an opponent whose vehicle is just flat out better than yours and needing to upgrade but not having what you need to do so. So okay, I should write this idea down. Let's see, unlock third and or 4th dot in vehicle action ratings. Okay, what else can we surmise? So we've addressed fuel expenditures. Unlock additional character. I don't like that one. I think I don't think there's that much of it. Oh, well, here we go. Multiples of the above depending on the strength of the bond. Consider what happens to vehicles that get destroyed. That get destroyed or replaced. It would be very frustrating, I feel, for someone if some benefit of this disappeared because of something largely beyond their control when their vehicle gets destroyed or retired, or if they want to do the mid-season upgrade and then they just lose all benefits. Okay, so this this all right. This would make pilots much more reluctant to use vehicles other than their own. Because basically not using your own vehicle would just be a straight up nerf. If you're not using the vehicle you already have bonds with, then you're just tying an arm behind your back. Why would you do that? Even the most narrativist of players still have the natural inclination to get as many dice as possible. So, does that torpedo this whole idea? I guess the tie to this is would pilots need to be forced into new vehicles in some way? I do still really like the unlocking third and fourth dots in vehicle action ratings. Just gonna close that window so I don't click it by accident. I still like this idea, unlocking third and or fourth dot in vehicle action ratings. That's something I want, I think. I think that'll separate it from how pilots unlock their fourth dot if it is something more personal. But what? Okay. Let's think about how this might work. So, let's say that you have vehicle beliefs. Let's say you have a belief with your vehicle. Or a bond. Would it need to be a full written out belief, or would it just need to be a clock of some kind? Do we need the full narrative thing where you have opinions about your vehicle? How would that even reasonably come up in an interesting fashion? What are you saying? Hell damn yes to, Sasha? So, describe your beliefs with your vehicle. Ah. Yeah. Okay, here's what I'm sticking on. I'm feeling like this is less interesting than pilot beliefs because your vehicle has no agency of its own. It's not an NPC, and more importantly, it's not another player. So it's not going to ever challenge your beliefs. It's never going to act against them unless it gets infected with some app or something, or proxy, what have you. So your beliefs are going to be very ones like these are not divines. These do not have their own selfhood. The vehicles do. I mean, sure, someone could run a game like that, but that's not the game I'm writing. Maybe it's framed more like errata or quirks, etc., like things you learn about the machine by operating it. Yeah, I think, but one that might be covered by character after they start to get those quirks and errata, which you would, if you struggle because of them, then you get XP. That's already built in with character. And two, there's not really going to be pushback on those beliefs. Like, not, I mean, I guess the GM could push back on them if you're like, my Razorback is the toughest vehicle in Izia. And then the GM, deals it level 3 harm from something, then, or level 3 damage. But it's, I guess the beliefs are going, I feel like they're going to be very passive. They're not going to be actionable. Well, I guess you could be like, you could turn down or engage in opportunities based upon how you believe your machine operates. Like refusing to do a race because you think your vehicle is slow, or challenging people to duels because you think your vehicle is really good at that or something. But I'm not... That's a lot different than thinking another pilot is bad at duels, or good at duels. They can choose to prove you wrong, and you can choose to prove yourself wrong. And the GM can put you both in a spot where you have to address that belief. This might be kaput. What do we do? Let's think. What is something we could do? We need, well, excuse me, I keep yawning. Is there a reason to salvage this? Is there a reason to try and save this? I mean, pilot vehicle beliefs are interesting. It's an interesting idea. getting to know your vehicle. I'm also trying to think of okay, yeah, it feels like that collective history is covered by character already, but there's something about volunteering flaws or customizations that fit your character, modifying the machine to fit them. Yeah. Okay. Here's another concern is, let's see. Consider if this would be getting too into the weeds with vehicle functionality. So another concern is the leanness of the rules. Is this bloat? Is this feeling that this is a good idea and then just tacking it on? I too feel like there's something here in some way. So okay, if it's about customizations and flaws, where do those already exist in the rules? Okay, so they exist in the vehicle actions. Obviously, if you lack action points, that's a flaw. If you have them, that's a that can be sold as a customization. There's load, obviously. Again, what load you choose determines flaws in terms of carrying capacity, conspicuousness, and agility, and allows you to do more customization in terms of the gear you have. And character, obviously. Vehicle look, that's another form of customization along with the model. Look, of course, has very little direct mechanical benefit, and the mechanical effects of that are, what do you call it? Through the narrative. If beliefs with other PCs get you advantages at the cost of stress, what do beliefs with the mech do? Yeah, that's another thing that I was thinking about. So I got this big list of possibilities here. Like it could increase the benefits of pushing your vehicle, reduce fuel costs for resisting consequences, reduce the cost of pushing your vehicle, could increase load, improve refueling, improve repairs, improve using the upgrade mechanic, could unlock the third and or fourth dot in vehicle action ratings, or it could do multiples of those, any number of those depending upon the strength of the bond. And again, a consideration is losing if you did have these beliefs, okay. Here's another consideration. Consider what is the belief cap? What happens when you reach it? So if you have, if we're just going with the example of the pilots, right? The pilots' beliefs. If you get 3, let's say it's reduced the cost of fuel with consequences. So it costs 1 less stress than indicated, 2 less stress than indicated, 3 less stress than indicated. What happens when you get here, when you get a 4th belief? Is it just 4 less stress? Do you just sit there at 4 forever and then never do it again? Does it reset and go back to 0 and then you lose all the benefits you would have had? Maybe you get some XP. What else might you get? You get an XP. Yeah, I don't know. Now that you've talked through it a bit, it does seem vestigial. I think the answer is amping up the mech pilot mechanics you already have. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff here. I mean, I preserve all my notes. So this will get saved at the very least, and then I can pull from it for future abilities and possibly future rules, because I'm still not 100% happy with how upgrade works and unlocking 3rd and 4th dots in action ratings. I mean, the 3rd dot just being not at character creation is fine, but the 4th one, just feeding it to the mastery squad upgrade seems Maybe tie it to the upgrade skill and then upgrading it lets you unlock that. Did I already put that in my notes somewhere? Maybe we can higher tier values, some upgrade XP. Does the upgrade track general XP not be able to put in vehicle? Should the upgrade downtime activity have the material cost removed? Add brig to FOB upgrade. Should vehicle actions have a starting cap of 2 and maxing out upgrade increases the cap in 1 attribute? Okay, I've already put some thought towards that. So let's. Is this in where is this? Okay. Let's see quality upgrade and how it applies to vehicles. All right. Let's combine those. Unlocked in vehicle action ratings. I kind of do like the idea of having to unlock the 4th dot in a vehicle action rating. Let's see. Could make the 4th a square. A grade in square, and then when you unlock it, you outline it. Okay, I should be putting this in notes. Make the 4th dot into a gray square. How did I type out squad? Make the 4th dot into a gray square. Upgrading an action puts an outline around the square, which can then have a point put into it. Let's see, that would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, okay, you're probably never going to upgrade all 8 to 4. Probably going to get 3 at most, I would think. So 3 times through the upgrade track. That would be, at the least, 3 upgrade tracks, which is 3 times 6, 24. At the absolute least, that would be 5 upgrade downtime activities. If you got the crit on every single one, more likely you're going to get 2 on every single one, so that would require 12 upgrade downtime activities to get 3 4th points unlocked. Would require 24 upgrade ticks for 3 squares unlocked, or approximately 12 upgrade actions. Okay. So that's some thought put towards that. I could also put these into the upgrade action. Improving... that might be getting lost in the weeds. Getting too nitty-gritty. Heading towards the keeping track of every little thing direction. Should probably leave all that for long-term projects, I think. Yeah, okay. I think this idea has been talked through. It doesn't function. All right. Slain. Let's put it up in the... These rules belong in a museum. Okay. Relevant. All right. More advice for tying missions together. Check all mechanics for how they feed back into vehicles. Can I remove more of blades? Core frequency of which vehicle? Okay, so this one cannot do today. I need more data, which I will need to do over time. I should put that in. More quantitative data. From playtesting. Survey? Okay, shoot. I think the thing about vehicle beliefs was sort of tied into this idea of giving vehicles a shorter lifespan. Okay, time to talk about that. I think that's the next topic. Let's talk through it. Should vehicles have a shorter lifespan? Should they get retired, destroyed more often than their pilot? So, let's think. What would each of these do? So it could reduce the number of character, could reduce the number of damage boxes. So, if it was just 3, 2, 1, just 3 boxes. That would make armor way more important. Would it? Or would it, I mean, this would just be a nerf to vehicles in general. So yes, it would make vehicles, or would make armor more important. Because you need to be more protective of your vehicle or we get trashed. Oh, that's another thing to consider about the feedback that I got. Is that, well, okay, first off, another thing I need to reiterate, I think, at this point is that I cut out everything long term. So the group playing didn't experience the grind at all. They had a single entanglement, which was Letter from Home, which one of the players was happy to cut loose with. And so that was not a big deal. But neither is the Table C entanglements. They're the light ones. But another thing to remember with this group, excuse me, is that in spite of the fact that they basically spent the entire mission in a desperate position because of their entanglement, they had pretty good rolls. When they resisted, for the most part, they, what do you call it? They rolled well. They usually got like, I think most of the resistance rolls, they got 5s and 6s. And then on top of that, there were 2 crits over the course of the mission. They didn't even walk away with like that much fuel spent from what I could tell. Yeah. So things went pretty smoothly for them. Is this... I think this might be another thing. Yeah, I already put in my notes that I need to ask people who have played the game more what they think about the durability of vehicles. Okay. So, think about this. If the amount of character was halved to 2, because I don't think that it would make... If I put it at 2, you can only get 1 character before... Tries to protect the magpie with your small body. I don't think that one's gonna fly. I mean, unless you get out of the magpie and then go into the dragon yourself. If it was only 2 characters, that means only 1 character. It could only have 1 character before it broke. It only over. If it had 3, then it could have 2 of these. I'm listening. So that would be clumsy. Okay, so if it had 3, it could get 2 of these. Currently, it can get 3 before the whole thing breaks. So you could have a vehicle that's leaking, sparking, smoking, but still able to fight. Is that too much? I mean, character really doesn't come into it unless the player wants it to. Do I want to make character more of a direct... Like, if you have the money, can you fix character? I mean, long-term projects, right, can break the rules. Okay, so I have in rules for removing trauma. would the effort be possible, warranted to remove character? Does it narratively make sense? I mean, yeah. Well, what would that be like? That'd be like replacing the entire engine in a car. And probably the transmission too would be like one character. Or replacing the entire frame. Okay, so I guess the answer is it would be possible to remove character with a long-term project, but I don't think that needs its own explicit mechanic the way that removing trauma does. If someone wants to do that, I mean, in the long-term project stuff, I explicitly say use long-term, in the player's principles, I think it is, I explicitly say use long-term projects to break the game, to break the rules. So removing character with a long-term project is something that someone could come up if they really wanted to. If they really wanted to hold on to their obsolete vehicle, well, I guess they'd have to do a long-term project to get, like, to convince the manufacturer to bring it back. But I really liked Pepsi Crystal. So, okay. Where are we at again? Should the vehicles have a shorter lifespan? I'm not sold on reducing the amount of character. It feels unnecessary. Like, although, I don't know. How often is someone gonna get removed because of character, their vehicle removed because of character? Maybe it should be lowered to 2? Or to 3. If it's at 3, it means that they can have 2 character, which will come up before it gets broken. Okay. So let's put this in the notes. Lower max character to 3. So vehicle can have 2 character before retirement. So I'm thinking about, in the playtests that groups have done and have sent me the recordings for, characters have had trauma fairly often, which I think is a combination of pilot actions spending stress and assisting also spending stress. Whereas vehicle character, I don't think has come up very much. The only instance I can think of it is Demon's Hopper getting smoking because of a bad resistance roll. So so I need to ask the playtesters how often their vehicles get character. Okay. Okay, the other possibility for making vehicles more fragile is removing damage boxes. So, what would the effects of that be if you only had a 1 level 2 damage and or 1 level 1 damage? Well, like I said before, that would make armor more important. You'd want to spend armor even on level 1 damage to shove it out of the way, because then any level 1 damage you take would automatically become level 2. And in a way, the same thing would apply to level 2, because otherwise, second level 2 would get bumped up to level 3. That's a thought. Oh, you're back, Carter. I think removing damage is too punishing. Yeah, possibly. Also, let's see. Also, lowering the number of damage boxes could make vehicles feel more fragile than the pilots. Unless I did the same thing to the pilot. But I can definitely see people looking at that and going, why does my pilot have more damage boxes than my vehicle? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I think damage boxes... Ooh. Excuse me, I'm sorry I keep yawning. I must be tired. So, let's see. Probably not this one. Okay, so that means character is the way to go. What are the effects? If we cut the amount of character a vehicle can have in half to 2, what does that mean? That means that vehicles can, over the course of their lifetime, resist fewer consequences, push themselves less often. Let me see, what other... There is... where's the pilot plate? This? No, I don't need you. Go away. You're horrifying to look at. Playtesting. Where is... Oh, wait. Got the pilot playbooks right here, right. Okay. Although, then I can just control F fuel. That'll be easier. Pilot playbooks. Let's see. Control F. Fuel. It only comes up 4 times in the pilot playbook. Oh, I should probably also open the squads. Okay. So the thing of wanting vehicles to change may be something more like you want a mechanic for the mid-season mech change so many shows have, where you switch from Gundam Mark II to Zeta, Gundam, or whatever. Possibly that was something that was referenced in the feedback. I'm honestly not sure if I will make vehicles more fragile. This is just something I'm talking through. Okay, so here's everywhere where fuel appears. Let's see, last stand. So it's all in ace abilities, is all of where the fuel comes up for the pilots. That That's not actually about spending fuel. Let's see, advanced prototype. So advanced prototype would be nerfed. So the Gundam Mark II can't transform, and then the Zeta Gundam has a jet mode that it can transform into. I think it's called a Wave Rider mode. Let's see. Where was it? Ah, yes. Okay, so that would nerf advanced prototype. Because people would be less willing to give their vehicle character by using their experimental weapon or item, which is perhaps a dramatic moment that I would like to keep. Although that does make me wonder, how does advanced prototype and last stand interact? Well, it's already been said that when you're using dire action from vehicle actions, you can't spend any more fuel, so... Okay, so advanced prototypes, you can't use them if you're doing a dire action. Okay, I think that should be clear enough. Yeah, that's a good point, Sasha. A lot of upgrades might just actually be, like mid-season vehicle changes could just be represented by changing the narrative surrounding your vehicle and then giving a new ability. Actually, Takuma's game playtesting actually did this with one of their pilots did a mid-season vehicle change, and then it was just like purely narrative, the change. I think he also he also advanced when that happened, so I think he also did in fact get a new ability. I don't recall which one. It wasn't more than meets the eye though. That I'm sure of. Might have been tied to their squad going up a tier. And then traveling companion. So that would... If fuel was more of a concern, then traveling companion would also be nerfed, but less so because traveling companion is all about spending stress instead of fuel. Okay, let's see how it affects squads. Fuel only comes up 3 times. All right, Reavers would be nerfed. Fuel was more scarce. Not the worst. Reavers is a very strong ability. I've been wondering if it needs to be nerfed. On the move, one vehicle gets a free 1D refuel roll. Get plus 1D to gather information about the route for the next mission. So logistics ability. So that makes this stronger since it heals fuel for free. And the other spot is efficiencies. So that would become stronger. And so would the other ability that, what do you call it? It gives an additional character. reliable. Okay. So, should vehicles have a shorter lifespan? Well, I've put in rules with this update for temporary vehicles. If people are getting into vehicles that aren't their own. So that should possibly create a lot more like on-screen vehicle destruction as people get into other vehicles and then push them beyond their limits, and that can get toasted. You know, I think put a fork in this one. I think it's done. I don't think vehicles need to be more fragile. It was good to talk through, and considering lowering the max character to 3, it's not the worst thing. Okay. Let's see. Look over frequency of which abilities are chosen. Okay, so I need the data for that. Need more data for that. Can I remove more of blades? Check all mechanics for how they feed back into vehicles. Add more advice for tying missions together. Okay. So not this first one, not today. Not looking into differentiation between vehicle and pilot actions. But we can look at tying missions together. We can look at tying mechanics to vehicles and cutting out more blades. So I shouldn't even have the live versions open. I should be working in the playtest documents. All right. Let's look for the stuff about planning missions and tying missions together and tying the story together, which will be in the Game Master section. Okay, so GM goals: play to find out what happens, fill the world with detail, convey the world honestly. Principles: be a fan of the pilots, let everything flow from the fiction. Address the pilots, address the players. Fill the world with inequality. Make the war the enemy, not the soldiers. Make the war too big to defeat. Consider the risk. Hold on lightly. GM actions. Ask questions. Provide opportunities and follow the player's lead. Okay. Cut to the challenge. Telegraph trouble before it strikes. Follow through. Initiate action with an NPC. Tell them the consequences and risks. Consequences and ask. Take a clock. Offer a devil's bargain. Think off screen. Session 0, Lines Veils the X card, Lines Veils X card, discussing expectations, creating the characters in squad, introduce the characters, GM tips and considerations, and ROE suggestions, starting situation, creating factions and squads. Okay, so if I have advice for tying missions together, it's gonna be, actually that is something I could add to the end of session questions. Mission was completed this session. Ask the pilots the following questions to direct what the next mission will be. Is your aim to squeeze a claim Earth? Is there a specific area you want to target? Is there a specific resource you want to acquire? Target is a squad or faction. Is there an see. How can I make this not a yes or no question? Something about following up on a previous mission. Actually, that should probably be the first question, I think. Get that in their head from the start. Are you following up on a previous mission? Previous mission's outcome. Okay, let's put that in the change log. Question to the mission planning portion of the end of session questions. All right. But let's go to the GM tricks and tips. Or tips and considerations. Make instructions from the patron faction superior seem inappropriate, incompetent, confusing, then blame it on lack of big picture. Consider giving the player what they want, a result of 1 to 3. Consider destroying vehicle items as consequence. Consider harming the pilot even when they are in a vehicle. Consider having consequences. Take the narrative format of the pilots being skilled but taken by surprise at their foe's competence. It's more important to see what a character does with knowledge rather than if they know it or not. Put clocks on maps and locations they are relevant to. NPC squad goals should be clocks with an appropriate number of ticks. When a segment fills, there should be something in the affection that shows that they've gotten closer to their current goal. Nuts. Did I just realized. Did I put rival moves into this version? The version that is live? Because I don't think it was in the change log. Where's the section on rivals? Rivals. Clock. Acquire rival by naming an NPC. No. Okay, so they're not there. They aren't live. Good, good, good. Rival. But let's check the notes for that. Advice about playing as rivals. Create type of clarify how rivals work. Here we go. Okay, so the rival stuff is still here. Okay, so that might be something we add in today, but not yet. Consider having consequences, whether from results 1 to 3 or 4 to 5. Where was I? Should be clocks with the appropriate number of ticks. Sometimes the GM should be a commander and give missions to the squad. Rivals should have agency power, the ability to mess with the PC's plans. They should use important means to okay. Roughly every 3 sessions you should start with going over everyone's beliefs. When should a squad be denied a supply roll for completing a mission? Player makes an outlandish suggestion for something they do or a goal they have. Don't automatically say no. Instead, ask how. You present an approaching danger to the players and they take no action to stop, inflict the consequences. Okay, so there is nothing in the rules about tying missions together. Okay. So, what can we offer up? Let's see. Well, the obvious one is bring back squads that appeared in previous missions, whether it's enemies that are now allies, enemies that are still enemies, allies that are now enemies, or allies that are still allies. So that's one way. With people. Bring back rumors that appeared in previous missions. Bring back objects that appeared in previous missions. I know that this is all sort of like very literal, like, well, no shit, Austin. Of course, if you want to tie something together, you have to actually put something in it from the previous mission. This is just the starting. I'll, of course, expand upon these. Bring back places that appeared in previous missions. Use rivals more than once. Use allies more than once. Can factions do long-term projects, or is that in the weeds? So, factions have their faction goal, which is the big, well, I say big clock, but it's a 4-tick clock, and ticks only go in it if the players complete a mission that feeds it, or if squads complete a long-term goal that feeds it. So it requires a long-term goal to get a single tick, essentially. NPC squads can do goals, of course, that might come up. So there's not, there is faction turns of a sort. So between missions, the GM should be looking at squad goals and then updating them for squads that are still relevant. I'm pretty sure that I put that in here, but let's double check. Added a squad goals section back in March. Okay. Let's just quickly scan over it. The details flesh out their goal. Further illustrate the core identity. Give the goal progress clock, size appropriate complexity, squad goal. Goals not necessary for squad to have. However, if a squad appears on screen, it should be given a goal to direct the GM in the ways that it affects the campaign's narrative. Between sessions, the GM should look at the goals of the squads that are currently active in the narrative. This includes Okay, so there is advice. Oh, well, I should read this whole section. This includes any squads that were involved in missions in the most recent session and squads that are likely to be involved in the next session. The GM should then make a fortune roll by rolling a number of dice equal to the squad's tier to see how far the squad progressed in its goal. If the players had a mission that aids his goal since the squad's last fortune roll, give them plus 1d. If the players have had a mission that impedes the goal since the squad's last fortune roll, give them minus 1d. Have a good evening, Sasha. Should the squad become active again? Okay. The squad's goal clock fills. It gains a benefit as appropriate for the nature of the goal, and then gain a new goal and clock based on their new circumstances. Squads should here. Additionally, if appropriate, the squad's patron faction's clock should go up by 1 tick. However, not all squads work towards their patron's goal. When examining the goal of a squad that has a pilot's rival in it, make sure that the rival is directly involved in the goal. This might take the form of... Okay. So, the rules are in there. Let's see. Bring up... NPC squad goals in missions, then bring those goals up in later missions. The NPC squad will pursue them continuously. Let's see. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Add more advice for tying missions together. What else can we do to tie missions together? Bringing back squads. Bringing back rumors, objects, places, rivals, allies. Missions. Is there anything else that tie missions together? I mean, okay, there's themes. I should put that in, but I'm not sure how well I can write towards it. Okay. Reuse. Not reuse. Repeat thematic elements. Thematic / tonal elements. Anything else? Yes, okay, I should bold this. That'll make it pop out, and then that'll remind me that this is important stuff when I'm quickly scrolling through for things to work on. I mean, all of this is important, but I mean, I have something actionable here. What does equals have? Turning characters, locations, MacGuffins, themes. Okay, rumors. Bring back rumors that appeared in previous missions. Make the source of the rumors appear on screen. Or not make. Have source of the rumors appear on screen. What else? Anything else? I think that might be it. I think this is a pretty good point. This is a number of good points, and they can be fleshed out pretty well, I think. But I think that's gonna have to wait for another evening. I, as my repeated yawns indicate, am pretty tired. I get up pretty early for work, and it is now getting close to 8 o'clock p.m. So I think I am going to call it for this evening. Thank you everyone so much for joining me in this day of game design. I'm Austin Ramsey. I've been your host for this evening. I'm also the creator of Beam Saber. If you want the rules for Beam Saber, you can find them at tinyurl.com/beamsaber. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at notann. That's NOTANINN. If you would like to financially support the development of Beam Saber, you can do so at patreon.com/Austin Ramsey, which is spelled AUSTINRAMSAY. And as always, this stream is brought to you by You Don't Meet in an Inn, an actual play podcast about exploring obscure tabletop role-playing games with a diverse rotating cast. You can find that at youdon'tmeetinaninn.libsyn.com. And all these links will be in the channel description and in the episode description if you're listening to this on YouTube. What else is there? I think that might be it. If it's not, I am tired. I had a very long weekend at ProtoTO. So yeah, thanks for joining, and I will see you all next time with some more game design. Bye.